প্ৰিয় দৰ্শক আমি আজি এই ভিডিঅ'টিত পুনৰ পেডাগজিৰ বিষয়ে অধ্যয়ন কৰিম আৰু কেইটামান MCQs সলভ কৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিম প্ৰথম প্ৰশ্নটো হৈছে হোৱাট ইজ দ্য প্ৰাইমেৰী গ'ল অফ পেডাগজি পেডাগজিৰ প্ৰাইমেৰী গ'ল কি to assess student performance, to enhance teaching and learning processes, to develop educational policies, নে to manage classroom behavior কোনটো হ'ব প্ৰাইমেৰী গ'ল কি হয় প্ৰাইমেৰী গ'ল হ'ব to enhance teaching and learning processes ইয়াৰে এইটোৱে মানে এই পেডাগজি বিষয়টোৱে কৰে তাৰপিছত নেক্সট প্ৰশ্ন which of the following is not a component of pedagogy তলৰ কোনটো পেডাগজিৰ অংগ নহয় কাৰিকুলাম এছেছমেণ্ট টিচিং মেথডছ নে ইনফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব ইনফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰটো পেডাগজিৰ অংগ নহয় নেক্সট which theory emphasizes the role of social interactions in learning তলৰ কোনটো থিওৰিয়ে social interaction হ'ব লাগে ইয়াৰ গুৰুত্ব আছে তাক মানে এম্ফেচাইজ কৰে শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ কোনটো হ'ব কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম বিহেভিয়ৰিজম কগনিটিভিজম humanism তো শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব constructivism next in which pedagogical approach do students take an active role in their own learning কোনটো pedagogical approachত studentে নিজেই active role লয় শিকোতে traditional lecture teacher centered learning student centered learning direct instruction শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ student centered learning next what is formative assessment primarily used for formative assessment কিয় ইউজ কৰা হয় সাধাৰণতে to measure final learning outcomes to evaluate teacher performance to inform instruction and support student learning to rank students শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ to inform instruction and support student learning next which of the following theories is associated with learning through experience তলৰ কোনটো থিওৰিয়ে learning through experience গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে social learning theory experiential learning theory classical conditioning নে operant conditioning শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ experiential learning theory next which teaching method focuses on problem solving and critical thinking তলৰ কোনটো teaching method problem solving আৰু critical thinking এই দুটা বস্তুক বেছিকৈ গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে lecture method direct instruction method inquiry based learning method rote memorization শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব inquiry based learning method next প্ৰশ্ন what does scaffolding refer to in pedagogy pedagogy scaffolding বুলিলে কি বুজে providing support to students to help them achieve independence the physical setup of a classroom the curriculum framework standardized testing procedure providing support to students to help them achieve independence to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ next which of the following is a characteristics of behaviorism তলৰ কোনটো behaviorismৰ characteristic হয় emphasis on internal mental processes focus on observable behaviors learning as a social process learner centered instruction focus on observable behaviors শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ next which pedagogical model emphasizes the importance of learner motivation and engagement গতিকে তলৰ কোনটো এনেকুৱা এটা pedagogical model হয় যিটোৱে learner motivation আৰু engagementক গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে বুলি কৈছে transmission model constructivist model teacher centered model নে behaviorist model শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ constructivist model যদি আপোনালোকে এই মডেল বিষয়ে ভালকৈ নাজানে কনসেপ্ট ক্লিয়াৰ নাই তেতিয়াহ'লে নিশ্চয় আপোনালোকৰ দুৰ্বলতা আছে গতিকে সেই দুৰ্বলতাখিনি দূৰ কৰক next which of the following is a key feature of effective pedagogy বৈশিষ্ট্য কি তলত দিয়াৰ মতে rigid structure flexibility in teaching methods sole reliance on textbooks teacher centered approach flexibility in teaching methods হ'ব next what feature of pedagogy focuses on meeting diverse learning needs তলৰ কোনটো পেডাগজিয়ে বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ লাৰ্নিং নিডছক ফোকাস কৰে differentiation standardization rote learning নে lecture based instruction differentiation হ'ব next which feature of pedagogy encourages students to take responsibility for their learning পেছিভ লাৰ্ণিং, এক্টিভ লাৰ্ণিং, ডাইৰেক্ট ইনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন নে টিচাৰ চেণ্টাৰ্ড লাৰ্ণিং? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ এক্টিভ লাৰ্ণিং। নেক্সট, হোৱাট ইজ এ ছিগনিফিকেণ্ট ফিচাৰ অফ কলাবৰেটিভ লাৰ্ণিং ইন পেডাগজি? ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল ৱৰ্ক, গ্ৰুপ প্ৰজেক্টছ এণ্ড ডিছকাশ্যন, ছ'ল ফ'কাছ অন টেষ্ট নে মেমৰাইজেশ্যন অফ ফেক্টছ? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ গ্ৰুপ প্ৰজেক্টছ এণ্ড ডিছকাশ্যনছ। নেক্সট প্ৰশ্ন, which of the following best describes the feedback feature in pedagogy? তলৰ কোনটোৱে পেডাগজিৰ ফিডবেক বৈশিষ্ট্যক বৰ্ণনা কৰে? Assessment done only at the end of a course, information provided to students to improve their performance, নে form of punishment for incorrect answers, নে feedback only from peers? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ information provided to students to improve their performance. Next, what feature of pedagogy emphasizes the integration of technology into learning? তলৰ কোনটো বৈশিষ্ট্যই পেডাগজিয়ে যে টেকন'লজি আৰু লাৰ্ণিং এই দুটাক যে মানে যোগ কৰিব বিচাৰে তাক দেখুৱাইছে? ট্ৰেডিশ্যনেল ইনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন, ব্লেণ্ডেড লাৰ্ণিং, ৰট লাৰ্ণিং, ডাইৰেক্ট ইনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ আপোনাৰ হ'ব ব্লেণ্ডেড লাৰ্ণিং, দুটাক যেতিয়া আমি মিক্স কৰোঁ। নেক্সট, which feature of pedagogy is focused on the teacher's role as a facilitator? তলৰ কোনটো ফিচাৰে পেডাগজিৰ টিচাৰ ৰোলটোক ফেচিলিটেট কৰে? মানে টিচাৰ যে এজন ফেচিলিটেটৰ হয় তাক গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে। অথৰিটি মডেল, লাৰ্ণাৰ চেণ্টাৰ্ড এপ্ৰ'চ, ডাইৰেক্ট ইনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন মডেলছ, কণ্টেণ্ট চেণ্টাৰ্ড এপ্ৰ'চ, লাৰ্ণাৰ চেণ্টাৰ্ড এপ্ৰ'চটো শুদ্ধ হয়। Next, what feature of pedagogy involves the use of real-world scenarios to enhance learning? Theoretical learning, authentic learning, rigid curriculum, abstract learning? Authentic learning শুদ্ধ। Which of the following is an important feature of culturally responsive pedagogy? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ কোনটো হ'ব? Ignoring students' cultural background, incorporating students' diverse cultures into the curriculum, standardizing teaching methods for all students, focusing solely on academic achievement, incorporating students' diverse culture into the curriculum. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ। Next, what features of pedagogy enhances critical thinking and problem solving skills? Memorization, inquiry based learning, direct instruction, passive learning, inquiry based learning to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ। Which theory emphasizes that learning is a social process and is achieved through interaction with others? তো তলৰ কোনটো থিয়ৰিয়ে এইটো কথাত গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে যে লাৰ্ণিংটো হৈছে এটা সামাজিক মানে প্ৰক্ৰিয়া, গতিকে সমাজৰ লগত বেলেগৰ লগত কথা পাতি এইটো এচিভ কৰিব পৰা যায়। শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ কি হ'ব? কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম, বিহেভিয়ৰিজম, ছ'চিয়েল লাৰ্ণিং থিয়ৰী, কগনিটিভিজম? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ ছ'চিয়েল লাৰ্ণিং থিয়ৰী। নেক্সট, একৰ্ডিং টু পিয়াগেছ থিয়ৰী অফ কগনিটিভ ডেভেলপমেণ্ট, হোৱাট ইজ এ টাৰ্ম ফৰ দ্য প্ৰচেছ অফ এডেপ্টিং ওৱানছ এক্সিষ্টিং নলেজ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ্ছ টু নিউ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ? তো পিয়াগেছ যিটো থিয়ৰী আছে কগনিটিভ ডেভেলপমেণ্ট মানে ব্ৰেইনৰ লগত জড়িত যিটো ডেভেলপমেণ্ট, সেইটো তাৰ বাবে কি এটা টাৰ্মছ আছে মানে যিটো এইটো কথা বুজায় যে নিজৰ এক্সিষ্টিং নলেজ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰটোক নিউ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চৰ লগত যোগ কৰি দিয়া। Assimilation, accommodation, equivalation, scaffolding, accommodation. Which theory is primarily associated with the belief that knowledge is constructed through experience? তলৰ কোনটো থিয়ৰিয়ে এইটো কথা গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে যে নলেজটো এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চৰ দ্বাৰাহে কনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন হয়? বিহেভিয়ৰিজম, কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম নে হিউমেনিজম, এছেঞ্চিয়েলিজম? কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম হ'ব। নেক্সট, হোৱাট কি ষ্টেটমেণ্ট ইজ এছ'চিয়েটেড উইথ Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, ZPD? এই ষ্টেটমেণ্টটো মানে তেওঁৰ এই বস্তুটো কিহৰ লগত জড়িত? লাৰ্ণিং occurs independently of social interaction, students learn best when they are guided by a more knowledgeable other, knowledge is fixed and cannot be changed, learning is solely a cognitive process? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ students learn best when they are guided by a more knowledgeable other. Next, in which theory does reinforcement play a central role in shaping behavior? তলৰ কোনটো থিয়ৰিত reinforcementে ডাঙৰ এটা ৰোল প্লে কৰে বিহেভিয়াৰ শ্বেপ কৰাত? কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম, বিহেভিয়ৰিজম, হিউমেনিজম নে social constructivism? এয়া হ'ব বিহেভিয়ৰিজম। নেক্সট প্ৰশ্ন, which of the following statement is a core belief of humanistic pedagogy? Knowledge is objective and universal, নে education should focus on the individual's personal growth, নে learning should be solely content driven, নে standardized testing is the best measure of learning? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব education should focus on the individual's personal growth. Okay, next প্ৰশ্ন, which pedagogical theory emphasizes the role of prior knowledge and cognitive structures in learning. তো তলৰ কোনটো pedagogical থিয়ৰিয়ে মানুহৰ মাজত থকা আগৰ নলেজটো আৰু কগনিটিভ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰটোক বেছি গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে লাৰ্ণিঙৰ নামত কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম বিহেভিয়ৰিজম ছ'চিয়েল লাৰ্ণিং থিয়ৰী মাল্টিপল ইণ্টেলিজেঞ্চ থিয়ৰী শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ কনষ্ট্ৰাকটিভিজম হোৱাট ইজ দ্য ফাণ্ডামেণ্টেল প্ৰিন্সিপাল অফ কানেক্টিভিজমৰ ফাণ্ডামেণ্টেল প্ৰিন্সিপালটো কি হয় লাৰ্ণিং ইজ এ পাৰ্চনেল ছেল্ফ ডাইৰেক্টেড প্ৰচেছ Knowledge is based on established linear pathways. Learning occurs in networks and is influenced by technology. Social interaction is not necessary for learning. Learning occurs in networks and is influenced by technology. Next, according to Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy mote, which level of learning involves creating new ideas or product? Kuntu level lage লাৰ্ণিঙৰ য'ত নতুন আইডিয়া আৰু নতুন বস্তু সৃষ্টি কৰাত সহায় হয় ৰিমেম্বাৰিং আণ্ডাৰষ্টেণ্ডিং এপ্লাইং ক্ৰিয়েটিং শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ ক্ৰিয়েটিং নেক্সট প্ৰশ্ন which of the following statements aligns with the principles of inquiry based learning তো তলৰ কোনটো statement মিলি যায় inquiry based learningৰ নীতিৰ লগত Students passively receive information from the teacher. Learning is driven by students' questions and exploration. The teacher dictates all aspects of the learning process. Students are not encouraged to think critically. Learning is driven by students' questions and exploration. Next question. Which of the following best describes a student-centered approach to learning? Tolar kuntu a student-centered approach learning ok bhalke dekhwaise the teacher is the primary source of knowledge students actively participate in their own learning process learning is primarily focused on standardized tests and lessons are strictly lecture based students actively participate in their own learning process next question in a teacher centered classroom the primary role of the teacher is to what teacher jod kendra hoi thake tenekwa eta shreni kuthat শিক্ষকৰ ৰোল কি ফেচিলিটেট গ্ৰুপ ডিছকাশ্যন চাৰ্ভ এজ এ গাইড এণ্ড মেণ্টৰ ডেলিভাৰ ইনফৰমেশ্যন এণ্ড কণ্ট্ৰল দ্য লাৰ্ণিং এনভাইৰনমেণ্ট এনকাৰেজ ষ্টুডেণ্ট অট'নমি শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ ডেলিভাৰ ইনফৰমেশ্যন এণ্ড কণ্ট্ৰল দ্য লাৰ্ণিং এনভাইৰনমেণ্ট নেক্সট প্ৰশ্ন which of the following is a characteristics of student centered learning তলৰ কোনটো student centered learningৰ এটা বৈশিষ্ট্য হয় emphasis on memorization active engagement and collaboration predetermined curriculum with no student input strict adherence to teacher led instruction শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব active engagement and collaboration next প্ৰশ্ন what is a common feature of teacher centered instruction teacher centered instructioner at a common feature key hoy use of technology for interactive learning emphasis on critical thinking and problem solving teacher led lectures and direct instruction opportunities for student choice in assignments to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব আপোনাৰ teacher led lectures and direct instruction next প্ৰশ্ন in a student centered learning environment assessment is typically what student centered jot learning environment thake that assessment কেনেকুৱা হয় solely based on standardized test ongoing and includes self-assessment and peer feedback conducted at the end of the term focus on grades and ranking শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ ongoing and includes self-assessment and peer feedback peer মানে সম বন্ধু টাইপ next which of the following teaching strategies is more aligned with a student-centered approach শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ direct instruction cooperative learning lecture method rote learning to have a cooperative learning next in a teacher centered model what is the primary focus of the curriculum teacher centered model primary focus of the curriculum to ki thake student interest and needs the teacher's expertise and content delivery collaborative projects hands on experiences শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ the teacher's expertise and content delivery next what type of learning environment is characterized by flexibility choice and collaboration তলৰ কোনটো learning environment এটো কথাত গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে যে flexibility থাকিব লাগে choice থাকিব লাগে আৰু collaboration থাকিব লাগে teacher centered environment student centered environment traditional classroom নে lecture based setting student centered environment to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ which of the following statements is true about the role of teachers in a student centered classroom তলৰ কোনটো statementে role of teachers in a student centered classroom ভালকৈ দেখুৱায় teachers dictate all learning activities teachers act as facilitators and guides teachers focus solely on content delivery teachers have no interaction with students শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ teachers act as facilitators and guides next which approach typically results in greater student engagement and motivation তো তলৰ কোনটো student বেছিকৈ যোগ হয় তেওঁলোকৰ motivation বেছি থাকে teacher centered approach student centered approach traditional lecture approach standardized testing approach শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ student centered approach next প্ৰশ্ন which teaching method emphasizes hands on learning and real world application lecture method experiential learning direct instruction rote memorization শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ experiential learning what is the primary focus of the inquiry based learning method teacher led discussion student exploration and questioning memorization of facts and standardized testing শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ student exploration and questioning which method involves students working together in small groups to achieve a common goal sorry মই এটো বহুত লং কৈ দিলো আমাৰ শুদ্ধ উত্তৰটো হ'ল student exploration and questioning next প্ৰশ্ন হৈছে which method involves students working together in small groups to achieve a common goal cooperative learning ne independent study ne traditional lecture ne direct instruction to cooperative learning to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ the Socratic method primarily utilizes which of the following technique rote memorization ne open-ended questioning and dialogue direct lectures from the teacher ne group projects শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ open-ended questioning and dialogue next প্ৰশ্ন which teaching method is characterized by the use of multimedia and technology to enhance learning তলৰ কোনটো teaching method multimedia আৰু technology গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে যাতে লাৰ্নিংটো আৰু ভাল হ'ব পাৰে লেকচাৰ মেথড ব্লেন্ডেড মেথড ডাইৰেক্ট ইনষ্ট্ৰাকচন ট্ৰেডিশনেল টিচিং শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব ব্লেন্ডেড what is the primary goal of differentiated instruction or primary goal key to teach all students in the same way to meet the diverse needs of the learners to simplify the curriculum for easier understanding ne to focus on standardized testing results to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব to meet the diverse needs of learners Next, which teaching method emphasizes the teacher's role as a facilitator rather than a lecturer? তলৰ কোনটো method teacher role facilitatorক বাদ দি lecturerক বেছি গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে teacher centered learning student centered learning traditional lecture and rigid curriculum শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব student centered learning what does the term flipped classroom refer to flipped classroom মানে কি student learn content at home and engage in activities in class teachers lead all instruction from the front students take turns teaching each other classrooms are physically rearranged for group work students learn content at home and engage in activities in class etu শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ which method involves a structured approach where students are given tasks to solve with teacher guidance project based learning direct instruction problem based learning lecture based learning problem based learning শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ what is the primary advantage of using multimedia in teaching multimedia in teaching a ব্যৱহাৰ কৰাৰ primary advantage to কি it replaces the need for textbook it caters to different learning styles and keep students engaged it allows teachers to lecture more effectively it simplifies complex concepts to a single perspective শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ it caters to different learning styles and keep students engaged next which of the following is a key characteristics of the constructivist approach to teaching emphasis ইয়াত কৈছে যে তলৰ কোনটো characteristic হয় যিটো a constructive approach to teaching or লগত জড়িত হয় emphasis on memorization of facts students build their own understanding through experiences teacher centered instruction strict adherence to the syllabus students build their own understanding through experiences etu শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ which method involves students engaging in problem solving through collaboration in small groups lecture method cooperative learning method rote learning individual learning cooperative learning শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ the national policy on education NPE 2020 in India emphasizes which of the following teaching strategies নতুন শিক্ষা নীতি 2020 তলৰ কোনটো teaching strategy গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে teacher-centered pedagogy, experiential learning and critical thinking, standardized testing, rigid curriculum. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব experiential learning and critical thinking. In which teaching method do students learn by teaching their peers? তো এনেকুৱা কি টিচিং মেথড আছে য'ত ষ্টুডেণ্টে নিজৰে মানে ক্লাছমেটক শিকায় peer teaching, direct instruction, flip classroom, inquiry based learning. Peer teaching hobo. What is the primary goal of formative assessment? Formative assessment or primary goal key to rank students at the end of the term, to provide ongoing feedback, to improve learning, to prepare students for final exams, to measure the effectiveness of teaching only. To provide ongoing feedback to improve learning. Next question. Which of the following teaching strategies is aligned with the principle of inclusive education? Tolor kuntu teaching strategy to milise inclusive education or principle or logot. One size fits all teaching, differentiated instruction, traditional lecture, rigid curriculum. About differentiated instruction. Which educational theories is known for the concept of multiple intelligence? Multiple intelligence kun educational theories anisil. Jean Piaget, Howard Gardner, Lev Vygotsky, B.F. Skinner. Howard Gardner. Next, what is the primary focus of behaviorist teaching method? Behaviorist teaching method or pramukh focus to key understanding individual student needs, reinforcement of desired behaviors, encouraging critical thinking and creativity, promoting collaborative learning. Reinforcement of desired behaviors. Next question. Which teaching strategies is most likely to promote higher order thinking skill? Tolor kuntu teaching strategy higher order thinking skill promote kore? Rote memorization, inquiry based learning, lecture method, direct instruction. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব inquiry based learning. Next প্ৰশ্ন. According to the principles of the National Curriculum Framework in India, NCF in short, what should be the role of the teacher? NCF or মতে তেওঁলোকৰ প্ৰিন্সিপালৰ মতে শিক্ষকৰ ভূমিকাটো কি? মুখ্য ভূমিকা. Sole provider of knowledge, facilitator of learning and guide for students, enforcer of discipline, evaluator of student performance only. The শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব facilitator of learning and guide for students. Next প্ৰশ্ন. Which of the following is an advantage of project based learning? Project based learning or সুবিধাটো কি? Focus on rote memorization, encourages collaboration and real world application, limited student engagement, strict adherence to textbook. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ encourages collaboration and real world application. Next প্রশ্ন. Which type of assessment is primarily used to evaluate student learning at the end of an instructional unit? কোনটো হ'ব? Formative assessment, diagnostic assessment, summative assessment নে continuous? তো শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব summative assessment. Next প্ৰশ্ন. Which teaching method is most effective in developing critical thinking skills amongst students? তলৰ কোনটো teaching method effective হয় developing critical thinking skill amongst student? Traditional lecture, direct instruction, Socratic method নে rote learning? শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব Socratic method. Next প্ৰশ্ন. The concept of scaffolding in education is most closely associated with which theory? Scaffolding theory to কাৰ লগত জড়িত? Jean Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, John Dewey, Maria Montessori. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ Lev Vygotsky. Next. In a constructive classroom, assessment is usually what? Constructive classroom assessment মানে কি হয়? Standardized and uniform for all students, primarily focused on grades and rankings, authentic and performance based, solely conducted through written exams. তো শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব authentic and performance based. Next প্ৰশ্ন. Which of the following strategies best supports differentiated instruction? তো তলৰ কোনটো strategy-এ এইটো কথা গুৰুত্ব দিয়ে যে এইটো differentiated instructioner লগত জড়িত বস্তু হয়? Single method for all learners, varying content process and product based on student needs, sole reliance on textbooks. Number D, grouping all students together regardless of ability. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ B, varying content process and product based on student needs. Next প্ৰশ্ন. What is the primary purpose of using rubrics in assessment? rubrics যে আমি ইউজ কৰোঁ সেইটো মানে এছেছমেণ্টত সেইটো মানে কি ইয়াৰ উদ্দেশ্যটো কি to simplify grading to provide clear criteria for evaluating student work নে to limit student creativity নে to make grading subjective to provide clear criteria for evaluating student work এটো শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ next প্ৰশ্ন which of the following describes a teaching strategy where students are given choices in their learning activities rigid instruction নে student centered learning নে direct instruction নে lecture method শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ হ'ব student centered learning next প্ৰশ্ন which teaching method emphasizes learning through experience and reflection traditional lecture experiential lecture direct instruction rote learning experiential learning the 5E model of instruction includes which of the following phases 5E যেটো model of instruction আছে তাত কি বস্তু জড়িত a engage explore explain elaborate evaluate b introduce discuss apply analyze assess C. Teach, test, revise, repeat. D. Present, review, reinforce, repeat. শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ engage কৰা, explore কৰা, explain কৰা, elaborate কৰা, evaluate কৰা. What is the primary aim of inclusive education? Inclusive educational primary goal to key to separate students with disabilities from their peers to ensure all students regardless of their background or abilities have equal access to education to focus only on high achieving students need to adhere strictly to a traditional teaching method to ensure all students regardless of their background or abilities have equal access to education. Next, which pedagogical approach is focused on the holistic development of the student? Or kuntu pedagogical approach a holistic development of student ok guruto diye behavioral approach constructivist approach traditional approach rigid curriculum approach constructivist approach e guruto diye next प्रश्न in a flipped classroom students are expected to what flipped classroom student ok mane কি আশা কৰা যায় ষ্টুডেণ্টৰ পৰা learn new content during class time and complete homework at home watch videos at home and engage in discussions during class follow a strict textbook curriculum take test before any instruction watch videos at home and engage in discussions during class eto শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ next which of the following best describes inquiry based learning তলৰ কোনটোৱে inquiry based learning ক গুৰুত্ব মানে ভালকৈ বুজায় memorization of information students asking questions and conducting investigations teacher directed lessons assessment focused teaching udhautor students asking questions and conducting investigations which teaching method promotes social interaction and collaboration among student tolor kuntue social interaction and collaboration of teaching method hisabe promote kore শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ individual study cooperative learning direct instruction rote learning cooperative learning শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ what does the term constructivism refer to in education constructivism শিক্ষা তত্ত্বত কি বুজায় a focus on teacher led instruction learning as an active process where students construct their own understanding ne memorization of information ne fixed curriculum approach শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ b learning as an active process where students construct their own understanding next which concept emphasizes the importance of context and culture in learning tolor kuntu concept importance of context and culture emphasize kore behaviorism situated learning cognitivism essentialism situated learning শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ the term scaffolding in education refers to what scaffolding মানে নো কি providing resources for teachers temporary support given to students to help them achieve higher levels of understanding rigid structures of lessons standardized testing method শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ temporary support given to students to help them achieve higher levels of understanding তাক scaffolding next what is the main goal of formative assessment or asol লক্ষ্যটো কি to provide grades for students to gather information to improve teaching and learning to compare students performance to assess only at the end of the term to gather information to improve teaching and learning next the concept of multiple intelligence was proposed by which educational theories multiple intelligence kune a theory to develop kora Jean Piaget Howard Gardner Lev Vygotsky John Dewey Howard Gardner what is the primary focus on the Montessori method or primary focus to ki asil structured and rigid learning environment student choice and independence in learning teacher directed learning ne emphasis on standardized testing udhautor student choice and independence in learning next prashna zone of proximal development ZPD is a concept introduced by which theories a theory to kune anisil B.F. Skinner Lev Vygotsky Jean Piaget John Dewey Lev Vygotsky next which educational concept focuses on the integration of social and emotional learning into the curriculum তলৰ কোনটো কনসেপ্টে ইন্টিগ্ৰেশন মানে যোগ হোৱাটো বিচাৰে social আৰু emotional learning কাৰিকুলামত constructivism holistic education behaviorism essentialism শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ holistic education the term differentiated instruction refers to what differentiated instruction মানে নো কি teaching all students in the same way adapting teaching strategies to meet the diverse needs of learners relying solely on textbooks ne standardizing the curriculum adapting teaching strategies to meet the diverse needs of learners to শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ next which of the following best describes active learning তলৰ কোনটো active learning বৰ্ণনা কৰিছে ভালকৈ passively listening to lectures students engage in activities that promote analysis synthesis and evaluation of content rote memorization of facts and completing worksheet without interaction শুদ্ধ উত্তৰ students engage in activities that promote analysis synthesis and evaluation of content last question the term cognitive load refers to what? The amount of information a student can memorize, the total amount of mental effort being used in the working memory, the physical environment of the classroom. Then number D, the time taken to complete an assignment. The total amount of mental effort being used in the working memory. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much.